Pull up a bar stool. All right, so that 10 years ago, 2011, lots has changed. So this is the third episode where I've talked about kind of looking back on the past 10 years, because 10 years ago I was laid off and eventually started a website. 10 years ago, August 28th was my first blog post. So prior episodes I've talked about that period of time when I got laid off, and then talked about that first month after I started my website. Now what I'd like to do is talk about that next 6 months, so months 2 to 7, which were absolutely pivotal in where this business is now. Now, lots has happened over this entire 10 years that were really important, but that 2 to 7 month period right there in 2011 to 12, really important. So we're going to focus on that today. Grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, pop a bottle. Let's do it. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm John from johnloomer.com, John Loomer Digital on Facebook, and I'm your host today on the PUBCAST. So, we talked last time about that first month of my website, and you know, there was a kind of minor breakthrough during that time where I got a bunch of traffic, 25,000 visits actually during that first month, which I'm sure a lot of people look at that and are like, geez, how did you do that? I wrote 25 posts, I think it was, and there was just one post in particular that got people's attention. But looking back, it was no more than just empty traffic, because I was writing about Facebook hoaxes. And that experience sent the wrong message to myself during that first 4, 5, 6 months as far as what I was trying to accomplish. I was also doing a lot of reading. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I was copying kind of what other stuff was going on. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing that. I should be doing that. Okay. But I got that traffic writing about a hoax, hover over my name, uncheck some comments and likes. I don't even know what it was. And so the first thing, that happened during those next 6 months is, I was still doing some dumb stuff, admittedly. I was still writing some of that hoax-related content because it brought traffic. So I did a revisiting, unchecked comments and likes, end of November, because it's like, I've still got to get traffic, got to find a way. Did another one end of December. Like, it seemed like every time, I just needed to be reminded I still got it. Now, the one in November didn't seem to work. This one, look, 16,288 shares. It did the trick, and it's kind of unfortunate that it did, because, again, it kind of reinforced to me that this is the kind of crap I should be doing, even though it has, unless I just tried to throw ads all over my site. Thank God I didn't. There's just no way I was going to make money off of that. So hoax-related content was a big no-no in terms of it's not that there was anything misleading or shady about it. It's just like that was not the way for me to run a business. I needed to focus on something else. Along those lines, I was still writing blog posts regarding the personal use of Facebook. So like privacy stuff and the ticker and interest lists. Now, I started to do a little bit less of that as I went during those 6 months, but definitely doing that. And then another one, driving traffic. So I started to run some Facebook ads during that period. I couldn't even tell you when I started, but I had no money. So I was spending bare minimum. At the same time, I was like, how can I do this as inexpensively as possible? And I got Facebook ad coupons. Those used to be available all over the place. And what do you know? I would write blog posts saying, hey, if you want to get, because I found out where to get them. If you want a Facebook ad coupon, this is where you get it. Great. It was helpful. It attracted people who wanted free ads. It did drive traffic. And actually, it got to the point where years later, I had to just take out the content in those blog posts because it's like people kept going to those pages saying, where's this coupon? And so looking back, that too, not the best. So I was doing a lot of things, but it was also related to a lack of confidence. Still, like I didn't have any confidence talking about how to succeed with big business, marketing and advertising and whatnot. I was still focusing on small business, nonprofits. Even when I even started writing about business, how to get by spending the least amount of money, and just a lack of confidence. And I wasn't investing in help. So I was designing the site myself. So lots and lots of dumb stuff. But that said, there was a lot of good stuff that happened during those 6 months as well. And I'm going to need a drink first to talk about that. Cheers. So I finally started my Facebook page in November of 2011. And this kind of gives you a sense of where I thought I was before that. It took me 2.5 months before I finally started my Facebook page because I didn't see myself as a business. I just saw myself as a dude needing a job. But you know, I think I started writing about Facebook pages like a couple days earlier. I don't know if it was as a part of like the test and the tutorial that I created my own. Horrible graphics again. I created my own graphics, just awful. But this is when we had tabs as well, so you can see those tabs I made across the top. Those actually look kind of cool, to be honest with you. And a lot of iframes and things that we were using back then. So finally created my own Facebook page. And back then you had welcome tabs. Remember that? I sent people there, and you had to click like. Again, a lot of this was like copying a little bit what other people were doing, but my whole thing, what I really want, like, I want to get away from the people who are calling themselves ninjas and gurus and stuff like that. So, in this font, like, I can't even read it with my old eyes, but you know, some of these focuses on honesty and authenticity and results. That was my welcome tab. That was me. So, started that Facebook page. I actually started writing a lot more strategic content related to Facebook pages and eventually ads. So not long after creating my own Facebook page, I wrote this blog post, How to Be Strategic with Your Facebook Page. We got 11 ways to get more Facebook fans. I mean, that's one where it's like, is that... You know, it's again driving towards some of the wrong stuff in the early going, and I learned my lesson, I think. But I was looking for traffic. I don't think I got much traffic off that though. How to use Facebook page insights. So we started to get more sophisticated regarding the types of content we're writing, more strategic. We're not just talking about the personal use of Facebook. We're talking about Facebook marketing. So I think that was a big breakthrough there in November as well. Also in November, how to create a Facebook ad. I don't know if you guys remember some of those graphics. Yeah. Oh, do you remember when it looked like that? It was crazy. And of course, people listening on the PUBCAST don't know what I'm talking about. But so I actually started to write about strategic stuff related to, you know, business. How to create a successful Facebook ad campaign. Again, November of 2011. How to measure Facebook ad success. Early December 1st, 2011. And then this was, I don't even remember doing this. I created it's called Create a Successful Facebook Ad Campaign Worksheet, where I had several questions. I guarantee this is something where John Robinson and I were talking, and because he's a big worksheet guy. He's like, what can we create that would be helpful for people to get their thoughts all in one place? So, like, what are you looking to accomplish? Number 2, what is your target audience? Number 3, what are 10 interests or pages that are a prospective fan may currently like? Number 4, describe 5 different creative ideas for the images that would appear in your ads. Number 5, list 5 different ad copy ideas. Number 6, brainstorm your plan of attack. There's a lot more, but I think I was starting to see the light, and this was, in that November, December range. Probably the biggest breakthrough, I still hadn't started building my email list. And this is embarrassing. The name of this ebook, How to Run a Facebook Page That Rocks. Oh, man. What was I doing? But it was good. It was actually a good first ebook. And I can't even remember if I got help. I think I just must have converted something to a PDF is my guess at this point. So I created that ebook, but I think I was still just like collecting email addresses into the void, right? Like manually doing this. I don't think I had a CRM yet. And then I can't remember if I ever used MailChimp at that point, but I know I definitely used Aweber because I was following along with Amy Porterfield. She had recommended Aweber. So I started my newsletter in January and using, pretty sure is Aweber. So yeah, that was a big development. And the logos. Oh man. Again, if you're only listening to this, you're going to miss it. But this logo, so you may recall the first logo I shared last week was garbage. The next one had this weird back shading on the background of the text, and oh man, I don't even know what to tell you. But social, digital, strategic. So I was a little bit more focused on my messaging there as opposed to the first one. And then I created another logo that was even worse than the other two. It was in progress. I used this kind of puke green digital marketing and social media consulting. At least I was, again, focused on the business side. The reasoning for that color, I remember this, is I had a business card made. Again, it was like off of a template or like Word doc or something that was this weird green. And so that's what I wanted to be consistent with my color scheme. So that was a big development, though. When that was still like November-ish, and it wasn't until March. Actually, let me see here. Yeah, it was November, and it wasn't until March and I finally got a logo made. And it's a good friend of mine from college, Nate. He just offered it, and he like created 3 different options that created blog posts and whatnot, and said, hey, I had people voting on it, and the one that they picked is the one I'm still using today, so nearly 10 years later. So that was pretty cool. Finally updated that logo, and along that is what with that as well. Again, keeping it cheap, I swapped services with Jenny Marvin, who's a photographer here locally in the Denver area. She's still doing it. She still takes, we now pay her, takes pictures for like our family pictures and our kids' stuff. And, but we swapped services. I kind of gave her some training in Facebook marketing or something. And she did a headshot package for me. So that meant I could finally create a nicer looking header graphic for my Facebook page with a great logo. I could now have my profile photo be looking more professional. Used that one for years, by the way. So that was a big development. So much happening in this 6-month period. I mean, that was March. Another one in February when I was just trying to get seen. I wrote a guest post. You may recall allfacebook.com. And I wrote a guest post for them, which to me at the time was a huge, huge thing. Just in terms of being seen and known and like kind of being a little bit more legit. And then I think even though like I look back and there was definitely some trending in the direction of Facebook marketing, Facebook advertising, it really wasn't until February 29th of 2012. That was when Facebook timeline for pages officially came out. And I went freaking nuts. That's really the only way I can describe it. That day when Facebook timeline for pages came out, I wrote 4 blog posts on it. Over the next month, I would write 27 blog posts on the topic of Facebook timeline for pages. And you might think, oh, that must have been it. All of a sudden you got traction, tons of traffic. It wasn't because of that. But what stuck with me is like, this is the topic I can write about. I feel confident in. I know what I'm talking about. I can help people. This is actually for business purposes. People who are investing in their own business need help. They may actually pay me for something. So that was really big. I think another big thing that happened during that 6 months, you'll probably hear a lot. You might be one of the people who found me this way. Reference of dimensions for Facebook timeline for pages, infographic. This is the one design thing I created that actually doesn't look embarrassingly terrible. 25,000 shares on it. I couldn't tell you how much traffic I ended up getting on it. But really, it was pretty simple the way I created it. It was just a matter of kind of taking screenshots of my actual Facebook page and then replacing the images and stuff. Actually, in some cases, I might not have even replaced the images. I might actually have put the images in there that showed like the dimensions and whatnot. So it was a huge deal. So that was a big development. It kind of off topic. I've been asked a lot, like, why I John Loomer Digital. Honestly, there's only one reason. Is like, I want to be able to separate my Facebook page from my profile. I think it's confusing. That was it. I think I saw like Amy Porterfield and Mari Smith and people like that. It was the same name, and it was really confusing to me. So I just threw digital on it, and that was that. So those are the good things that happened during that 6-month period. Let's cheers to that. Cheers. All right, so lots of things happened. Where was I then once we got to the end of March? Business booming? Not necessarily. So that said, I was definitely finding my groove when it came to writing content. I started focusing much more on Facebook marketing, Facebook advertising topics, and moving away from personal use of Facebook privacy and hoaxes. I'm not sure if I got it completely away from the ad coupons yet, but that was coming. And really, it took a while though to get my consistency and get that groove because no confidence. So October, I wrote 8 blog posts, and you may recall I wrote 25 the first month. But for whatever reason, again, man, a lot of things happening up here during that time. So 8 posts in October. November, up to 26. December, down to 13. January, up to 23. February, 26. And March, ding, 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 ding. Things just start clicking. 41 blog posts in the month of March. And I'll say it over and over and over again. Writing all that content didn't guarantee traffic. A lot of it didn't get me anything. It was first of all, the more content you write, the more likely something is going to hit, though, positively. But also, that's how you figure out like what inspires you, where you fit, where you have knowledge, where you can help people, where you think you can actually make money. That's why that was so important. So I did start getting more consistent traffic. It started going up, right? Because you'll recall, I had 25,000 visits. Now I wasn't even using Google Analytics those first few months. So that was off of. So I say visits when we talk about the first 3 months, because I was using the WordPress analytics, whatever. So it's 25,000 visits the first month, less than 4,000 in October, less than 4,000 in November. Something clicked in December. Again, though, I'm pretty sure what clicked there was related to hoaxes and stuff, but 30,000 page views. But I also did start that that ebook at the end of the month, so that probably was a good idea. January, 90,000 page views. Again, I don't know how much of that was good traffic, but 90,000. But we were still kind of up and down, up and down. February, 40,000. March, 80,000. Some of that's because, guess what? I started a newsletter. Started growing my audience on Facebook. Started running more Facebook ads. I was writing a lot. And when you write a lot, you get more opportunities to drive traffic. So that's really what was going on. So starting to hit my stride, starting to feel better about myself, still no product. And so that's the one thing I want to make sure you know. Minimal revenue at this point. The only money I was making, I had done some consulting. I think it was about 3 months for Alex's Lemonade Stand Foundation, which is an awesome organization for childhood cancer. My oldest son, Michael's a cancer survivor, and that's how we know about Alex's Lemonade. So I actually worked for them as a consultant for like 3 months. So that's all I did, though, revenue-wise. I think I did start doing some affiliate stuff, the kind of things you won't see me do anymore, but I got to make money. I still wasn't yet getting known among any of the big names. I think you'll find that was right around the corner, though. I think the main thing is I was starting to feel some confidence. But, looking back at that time, that confidence is so important because, again, I was reading other people, like, what am I supposed to do? I was taking everyone else's advice. And that's why my best advice for people these days is don't necessarily do what I did. Figure out what works best for you. But so I was gaining that confidence, creating all that content. It's just that experience was so important. And I think that ultimately things started to click. It's like, if I'm ever going to make money independently with this thing, I need to focus on a group of people with content that can help them. We weren't quite there yet, because I don't think I'd renamed the website, for advanced Facebook advertisers or advanced Facebook marketers or whatever it was at the time. But we were getting there. And but it was all this. It took those 6 or 7 months. All those steps are so important, and that's why I always tell people, like, the best thing you can do is try, is to experiment, is to learn from your failures and do something, right? And on that note, I think I got to finish my line. Last call. So that was a little more than I was expecting there. So that's the first 7 months. And I got to tell you, it makes me a little emotional thinking back on that time. Just remembering what was in my head. And, my ups and downs, and how I was often chasing the wrong things and valuing the wrong things. Not really realizing that I could start a brand and start a business that actually made money. Because I think it was finally around this time I kind of saw that as a possibility. But as we've said, I still haven't sold anything on the website, and it's going to be another 7 months before I do, believe it or not. So anyway, that's the first 7 months now of my journey. And I hope you found it useful. I do plan on doing at least one more of these to finish out that year, but I may go a little bit beyond that. Part of it's going to depend on your feedback, whether you find this valuable, or if it's just going to be therapeutic for me. So regardless, thanks for joining me today. Give me a shout. Let me know your story, what you want to hear more about. If you like this topic, drop me a line at john@johnloomer.com. All right? Otherwise, thanks again. Until next time, do awesome things. I'm out.